Time is a cruel thief that takes what it will, leaving us with memories that can only fade into the distance of our lives. I think nothing haunts us quite as much as the ghost of what once was. You could spend a lifetime trying to recapture the people, the places, and the feelings that once defined you. Nostalgia is a very powerful feeling, and it comes from the Greek word nostos, meaning homecoming, and algos, meaning pain. Nostalgia insists that we look at the past through rose-colored glasses, which only intensifies the pain of what has gone. Because when we return to these old friends, old lovers, and old places, we never return to the memory as it was. Nostalgia betrays us in our longing because the past doesn't keep its promises. We can't resurrect what we long for, and instead we encounter all the ways that we've changed and also all the ways that the world has changed. As Heraclitus once said, "No man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river, and he is not the same man." We know all too well that time changes everything. So why is the allure of the past so compelling? What is it that we seek in our nostalgic reveries? Is it the aisles of a Blockbuster video store, or the smoothness of vinyl bus seats that we miss? The present is an overwhelming rush, replete with obligations such as paying bills, working, loneliness. These are the responsibilities we bear merely because we possess the capacity to act, and they constitute the burdens of agency. However, the past lacks all of this. The past is frozen, resolved, and complete. There's nothing to be done because nothing can be done. I think that we're mesmerized by the past because it imposes no obligations on us in the way that the present does. And for that reason, I think that if our past memories, the ones that we're so nostalgic for, if they were to approach us like any other instant in our present, they wouldn't have the same appeal. And that's because I think what we genuinely crave in our nostalgic musings isn't even the memory itself. It is the stillness of the past. Certain types of retrospection can feel like respite from the demands of agency. And I think that nostalgia could even be compared to a drug in a certain sense, because it soothes our distress and transports us away from the present into an elated state. The more you describe a memory, the more likely it is that you're making a story that fits your life, resolves the past, creates a fiction you can live with. We've already lived our memories, and so we know which moments were safe, which moments were full of joy, and we know that everything from that time period would be all right, otherwise we wouldn't be here to reminisce. And yet the present doesn't provide us with that same comfort because we fill it with tomorrow's anxiety. Returning to the origins of the word nostalgia, not only does it represent a homecoming, but it's also painful. And I think that's because nostalgia, although it may feel pleasing in the moment, it ultimately contradicts the comfort that it provides, since nostalgia transports us back to a world that no longer exists, a world that we can only access through our minds. In the original Nostos, Homer's The Odyssey, we observe the paradox of nostalgia as a facade of vitality. Odysseus returns to Ithaca to find his home contaminated by a plague, and he also finds 108 young men devouring his food, spoiling his furniture, and pursuing his wife. And this homecoming, it's agonizing not just because of the obvious violations, but also because of its uncanny nature. Odysseus's home ought to be the ideal of the nostalgic imagination. The home that he remembers should overflow with meaning, but it is in fact dead. Odysseus realizes that Ithaca is not a haven to return to, but rather it's another task to undertake. And I think that is the affliction of nostalgia, the recognition that the value of the past, much like everything else, is not inherent, but rather it's something that we must create. And I think the way to truly honor the past is not necessarily through our nostalgic musings, but rather to to accept the ways in which the past has changed us. If we become stuck in the mire of nostalgia, longing for what once was, we lose sight of the potential in what could be. And this potential was informed by our past. So keep your eyes forward, knowing that nothing is ever lost. I am part of all that I have met, yet all experience is an arch wherethrough gleams that untraveled world, whose margins fade forever and forever when I move. And that concludes my thoughts on nostalgia. As always, thank you for watching, and thank you to my top patrons.